think I'd been involved in social media for a couple of years. They wanted to build something grassroots that got people talking. So they had Dean like kind of ambush me during WrestleMania week and accuse me of ruining the state of the wrestling business. And we were going to go to a pretty dark place, you know. Problem is, I used to be able to kind of dip in and out of the deep end of the pool emotionally, and I would be fine afterwards. You know, like case in point is I remember my wife dropping me off at the cameraman's house for ECW, where I went down and they dropped me off, and then they went to a nearby park to play, and I emerged like 2 hours later after doing the Kane Dewey promo, something called the Uncle Willie promo, about 4 or 5 really intense promos, and I was completely fine. Like I could come away unscathed. But when I got kind of into that deep aspect of trying to like come back in the character, like I felt like I was submerged and couldn't come up for air. Like I was really struggling with it. And then I saw Dean say something about how his goal was to see me crippled and have my children like have to move out of the house. And it affected me, like, and I wanted to talk to him. And he was a weird kind of dude. Like, to this day, I don't know if he was working a gimmick or not, you know? And so I asked the American Dream, I asked Dusty if he could help me talk to Dean. And so Dean's hanging out by the ring, and I walk over and I go, hey, Dean, can I talk to you? And I've got the American Dream by my side, and Dean bails out over the guardrail, and he literally starts to run away into the seats. And I was like, Dean, I just want to talk to you. And he turns around and he's like looking, he's like timid like a mouse, you know, but like also like a psychopath. And I was like, listen, man, just, you can say anything you want about me, but please leave my family out of it, right? And okay, and he nods his head. And then the next day I see that he's like pouring gasoline on the fire, talking more about my children, like even worse. And I was like, I call him up, I leave a message like, hey man, I told you to knock that off, you know, I told you I was like heavy, like leave my kids out of it. And the next day it gets even worse. And every single day I'm leaving messages on Dean's answering machine, and every day he's getting worse and worse and worse. And I finally cut a promo, and I called up WWE Talent Relations, and I think I even dropped a couple F-bombs. I was like, this effing guy, he doesn't effing listen to me. It's outdone, this whole angle's over, I'm not doing it. So I bailed out of the angle, and I get a phone call from Dean like 3 days later. I haven't talked to him in 2 weeks. Turns out he'd been on a tour of the UK and hadn't received any of my messages. And he called me up, and he's like forlorn, and he's like, Mick, first of all, I want you to know, like, I respect you as much as anybody in the business. Like, when you told me in front of the boys to not mention your family, I thought you were working an angle. So he thought in a sense that I was like, hey, give me some more of that family stuff, you know? And it was like this huge misunderstanding, and like, all right, okay, call Talent Relations. All right, we're on again. And then, unfortunately, I went and had my full physical done with WWE, and I failed the impact test, which is, you know, that measures the degree of problems you've had from head injuries. And I knew it wasn't going well, to the point where I knew my short-term memory was really suffering. So I made an appointment independent of WWE with one of the top neurologists in the country, and then the next day, John Laurinaitis called me up. He's like, Mick, there's been a problem with your impact test. And so I went to my neurologist, their neurologist, and they both arrived at the same conclusion, which is I should never wrestle again.